Hey guys, if you want to learn how to achieve this gorgeous layered haircut, then definitely watch today's video. What's going on YouTube? Steven the Salon Guy here, and today I've got Hannah with me who's going to be my model, and we're going to do the consultation now and talk about what we're doing with her hair. So this is going to be live, the consultation, just like if I was treating her as a regular client. This is what we're going to be doing for the haircut today. So obviously she's got Asian hair, and which is pretty much straight for the most part. Sometimes you'll see people with like Asian hair has a little bit of a wave to it. You have like a slight wave, right? Like a little bit of a wave. Yeah, which is nice, So looking at her hair right in through here, one thing that she did mention to me is that she does need to keep some of the length. And I said, I'm not gonna listen to you, I'm shaving it off. No. But she said she does need to keep, some of the length just because of some of her studies and her work and stuff like that. She needs to be able to pull it back. So, I mean, even with a ponytail, we have some room to take some length off. So, right, is that cool? We can take some length off? Okay. So, the first thing I like to do is I want to make sure that, when you pull the hair back, you vision a ponytail and you say, okay, what am I left with down through here? What can I really do? How much can I take off? Then you start to work through the hair and you start to see what kind of movement is going on. And right now, I'm not really seeing a lot of movement. She has some texture throughout the ends here, which I find very, very interesting. And I think you mentioned to me that in some of your past haircuts, the stylist really thinned it out a lot, right? With like thinning shears and stuff like that, yeah. Which helps, which is, it's not necessarily the method that I would take, because if it's not done properly, thinning shears could really cause a lot of damage to the hair, you know what I mean? Yours doesn't look too bad, but what's really interesting is that the ends are a bit thinner down in through here, so, which is helpful for her because her hair is so thick. So what I want to do is I want to actually create some real movement in through here, not by utilizing thinning shears, because what that's doing, that's actually removing a bunch of, uneven kind of sections in through here. What I'd rather do is actually create real layers that have a consistent flow to it, and something that's going to create a little more shape and movement in through here, because right now it's basically just hanging straight down, and thinning the hair is great for certain areas, but it doesn't do anything for any sort of volume or any sort of shape. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of clean this up. We're going to keep a nice sweeping fringe going in through here. And what I want to do is, I don't know if I can connect this fully, because if I do, she won't be able to pull all this back. This is already kind of a pre-existing fringe that she has right in through here, as you guys can see. So there's a few things we can do. Is either, if I were to connect this in through here, then I'd have to obviously cut all this off and kind of work it down. Something she probably doesn't want to do. So we're gonna have to look at this section into here and maybe clean this up and just kind of tidy up this sweeping fringe. And we're gonna create kind of my signature layered haircut, which is gonna create a lot of volume, a lot of movement, very, very pretty, and she'll still be able to wear it back. So I think I've talked enough. Are you ready? So I'm ready to go. Let's get started. All right, so I'm going to start by spraying 25 spray into Hannah's hair, and she doesn't have the hair type that would really get a whole lot of knots, but 25 spray is a great pre-cutting spray. It helps keep the hair nice and moisturized, and also literally just comb right through it and there's like no tangles whatsoever. Really an incredible cutting lotion, an incredible styling spray, a pre-styler. I mean, it's unreal, this stuff. So what I'm going to do now is I'm simply going to comb through her hair, and we're going to section off in 4 different quadrants, and then we're going to start with the base length. So I pretty much have my sections ready to go throughout the back. Again, it's really just separating the front from the back, which is usually behind the ear, moving forward. And then I don't really use any clips. I just kind of push the hair out of the way. But one thing I did discover, which was interesting, was that on the bottom of her hair, I could see that it is a bit more on the kind of wispier side throughout the ends here, and that is from the hair being thinned out, as you can see down through here. So my goal is to actually reverse that and make it a much more of a solid, healthier looking type shape, and then I'll remove the weight by layering it, so it's not just me removing all of this, because I don't want this to look like this. I want this to grow out, and even in 2 months from now, it's going to have a beautiful shape. I don't want the ends to look very stringy like this because of being over thinned. So what we're going to do is, this is very traditional in my videos, where we create the length first. And we do have some room to bring up the length a little bit. So I am going to be cutting a decent amount, not a whole lot. It's still going to be long, but enough that her and I will notice how it's gonna really strengthen up the bottom and through here. So let's skim through this. We're all gonna bring this down to one section right throughout the back here, and we're gonna cut a nice solid straight line. Again, if you're new to watching my videos, when we get to this point here, I always suggest that you keep the corner behind the ear this way, that I'm not gonna be bringing this out to cut this corner. I wanna keep this so that we can extend it going forward. Trust me, you'll be thanking me later, but comb it right behind the ear, straight down this way. So let's finish up the back, and then we'll be ready to move on to the next part. So a pro tip with Asian hair is that you really want to comb the hair very thoroughly to make sure that the haircut is very consistent. Asian hair is very, very thick and sometimes has a tendency to kind of hide under itself. So you want to always make sure that you're combing the hair because you don't want to miss any spots. So be very, very thorough with this. And once you feel that you have the right length, which we're just finishing up now, then we're going to move into the side. Okay, so now that the back is complete and through here, we have a nice solid line. Now we're going to continue this shape in through the sides and then work it into the front. I'm going to stand in front of the area that I'm going to cut. And if we comb this all straight down, we can really see the story behind what's going on here, which really isn't a whole lot. And that's what we're going to be doing right now, is kind of creating a whole new shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to freehand this by just cutting and following the length in through here. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm basically standing in front and I'm going to establish a little bit of a face frame to create some movement and some softness in through here so that as she wears her hair down, it's not going to be so heavy, all right? So I like to comb the hair towards me, and I'm going to cut with my fingers pointing up, working downwards this way. So it's going to be a lot of combing towards me and a bit towards the face so that we can create a nice, perfect, symmetrical shape that works all the way from here upwards into this way. So right now I'm combing everything a bit more forward this way, lots of over direction. So I'm combing it all towards me like this, right from that division point, which separates the front from the back. And what this is going to do for me, it's going to ensure that I'm going to have a nice, solid, even flow going in through this way. What we're doing is we're really strengthening up this area in through here. So we're going to comb this all straight down. Again, it's very, very important to continue to comb through the hair to make sure everything is even and balanced. And look, as you can see, we're now getting rid of like kind of that more finer ends. And what we're doing is we're really strengthening up the shape right into here. So I like to create this as opposed to this side, which is a lot more thinner and wispy. So as you can see the difference, this is a lot more stronger. And then it's going to even build on top of this when we work in through the internal shape. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll start the layering process. Okay, so what I like to do with this hair texture is sometimes you have to be a little more aggressive with it, and you have to take a little bit thicker sections because you want to see how the hair is going to react pretty much real time and instantly. And if there's not enough hair in this section, you're not going to be able to see what's going on. So I've noticed over the years of working with Asian hair is that you really have to be a little more aggressive with it and not be afraid, and you just have to really just cut it. You know, you have to have the vision, see it, and then do it, because it can be a little bit intimidating, especially if because the hair is so thick and because the hair is so straight. So in my years of doing this and cutting hundreds and hundreds of haircuts on Asian hair, I've learned that it's much easier for me. So now what we've done is, let's just spin her around real quick. As you can see, even from this part right in through here, we really created a beautiful angle. And I haven't really touched this yet, the fringe area. But again, what I really want to do is set up a foundation, which I can see is happening right before my eyes, which is great. So what I want to do is just, again, comb down. I want to check, make sure I'm happy with the flow of this. And I'm just going to refine anything that I feel needs to be refined. And a lot of it, as you can see, I'm doing it by freehand. I'm not necessarily even using a comb the whole time. I'm just doing everything freehand because sometimes that reacts the best. So it's a lot of just working with the hair type and really trying to create the best movement. And already, as you can see here now, we have a gorgeous shape on both sides. And now we're going to start the layering process. So now we're going to work in through this area, right in through here. And the first thing I want to do is, now, this particular hair type, you do have a little more room to create some layers because that's what's going to show a bit more movement on this hair type. If I were to cut them really, really, really long, you know, and the layers are down through here, you'll see a little movement throughout the ends. But with Asian hair, I noticed that sometimes you have to go just a hair shorter to really create that beautiful volume and that beautiful shape, which is what we're going to do. We're still going to keep it long on top, but I'm holding it straight up and I can already see, you can't even see because it's so thin down here, you really can't even see through it because of it being so thinned out from the last haircut. So I'm going to hold my arms straight out like this, and now we're going to cut all of this kind of thinned out hair off. And now look, you can already see it's a much more solid line, okay? And I'm trying to keep this in frame because one, I'm so damn short. I want to make sure that you guys can see this. This is a very common haircut for me. You've seen this a bunch of times. If you haven't, this is my layering process right in through here to where my first section is right on top. I'm going to bring another section straight up right underneath it like this. I'm combing it straight up. There's my guide underneath, which is right there, as you can see. And we're going to cut straight across. So now what we're doing is we're strengthening up the layering right in through here. And I'm going to take one more section. I don't usually like to go super low with this. I usually bring it to right to where the occipital is because I want to keep some weight in through the bottom of the hair. So let's comb this straight up here and we're going to match this up. So you're going to notice not a whole lot of hair is going to be coming off because now we're actually blending and connecting everything. So then we'll drop this down, comb this out of the way. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to connect this part. So when connecting the layers in the back, what I like to do is comb everything really straight out from the head like this. And what's going to happen is we're going to pick up from where we left off right into this area. And that's what we're seeing right now. And we're going to extend this all the way to the bottom. You definitely don't want to miss out on this part or skip through this. I'm literally combing, as you can see, the entire nape area right in through here. This is all being combed in one shot because you want to make sure that everything is connected. And this is the length that drops out, and then this is what falls on top of it. So watch, as you can see, everything falls on top of it perfectly, and it's perfectly connected. So what I'm going to continue to do now is I'm working up the head shape, and I just like to do this just to double check everything to make sure it is all balanced. So this whole section right here is completely done, and we're going to use this kind of as our guide right here, right in the middle. As you can see, this whole section is done, and now we're going to take vertical sections and we're going to connect the entire back of the head. And a quick tip when doing the corners is you want to make sure that everything is pulled behind the ear when you're layering. Okay, all this right here, we're going to comb it straight back. We're not going to layer it out here. We're going to layer it here so we're keeping and maintaining the weight. Very, very important as we come around through this side of the head shape. So follow along as we finish this up, and then we'll connect the top and the back. right, so the back is now done with the layers and we have a beautiful shape now. We've got some great movement in through here. And now we're gonna connect the back into the top. So I'm happy to see that in a lot of my recent videos of me explaining all this to people, that they are grasping this and they're really understanding the concept of the connection. If you're new to this channel and the first time you're watching this, this was the hardest part, is how do you go from here to here, right? How do you make that connection? And the best way to do it is, you don't wanna take a section horizontally like this, straight up and cut. Because, at least that I think, because what happens is you can create a whole new section and a whole new layer in the back, which is what you don't want. What I do is I follow the head shape around and I cut everything vertically. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's spin the camera around this way. And I'm gonna comb this all straight up. Now remember, the hair, there, you can see it. There's the hair right there. And I'm cutting that straight across. So keep in mind that, you know, this part doesn't go straight up. The hair grows, you know, straight out from the head, not straight up, but straight out, which means it can go like this up until right in this point. And the hair in the front could even grow out like this. So a lot of people think like, oh, the hair grows straight up from the head, where it doesn't, it grows straight out from the head. So what we're doing now is we're actually just creating a connection between the top here and the back, so that we work forward and then everything is connected this way. So what I want you to do, if you're following along or if you're, you know, a stylist, the next client you work on, here's the guide right here, and just follow this pattern like this and you'll be really good to go. So keep in mind, I'm not going into the corners yet. I like to break down haircuts in 3 different sections. It's the top, the corners, and the sides, all right? That's very, very important. If you keep it that simple, then things will be a lot easier during your haircutting experience. So now that we have this all done, we're now at the point where the hair is growing straight up from the head this way. And remember, we do have a fringe that we have to cut, so we don't have a whole lot of hair in the very, very top to cut. But here is where I'm gonna comb everything straight up, because we've already cut the angle already, right? So now, straight across in this part right here. And then what I like to do is to just go back in and comb everything to make sure it's all even and all blended in. And yes, we're in good shape. So let's bring this right in through here in the very, very front to make sure that we have all this hair cut and balanced, combing it straight up, and literally hardly anything to cut, which is great because it means we're in good shape. Now the corners, right? So the top is right down the middle, the corners and the sides. If you can break that down when you're cutting, it's gonna make life a lot easier for you. So the corners are best described as where the head starts to round off right into this area. This is kind of like the corners right here. This is where the hair does grow straight out from the head. There is the actual corner that I'm gonna cut. And then I'm gonna extend this all the way down to the very, very bottom. Again, we're not gonna be cutting the length, all that hair that dropped out, that's the length. But what you wanna do is you wanna cut on top of that, because that is what gives the hair the movement. A lot of times I see haircuts when people come into me and they complain that the hair isn't moving. Well, I comb this out and I go, oh, no wonder. Because there's all this longer hair laying over this, which is what's making it heavy. So it's really, really, really important that you do this. All right, so we're gonna continue the corners and then the sides, and then we'll come back when we're ready to do the other side. What I'm doing now is I'm actually preparing her hair for the fringe area. And whenever I cut bangs or the fringe, it's like a whole other process. It's like a whole other haircut for me. I take it very, very seriously. So I always joke around and say I give the best bangs ever. And I really, really treat this as it's like its own unique haircut. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna section this off. And you wanna be careful that, and I see this a lot, you know, in the hairline area, right in through here, you want to be careful that you're not pulling hair from this part right in through here. See how this is long? This is good. A lot of times you may take a section and you may be like, oh, you know, it lays over this. This is part of it. You just don't ever want to cut this hair on the hairline because it's not going to work out too well. So that's why you want to lift up the hair like this and separate this from the rest. So comb this all out of the way, and what we're doing is we're creating kind of like a triangular section right throughout the top here. And what I've done is, as you can see, this is the section that I created right in through here, right, which is following where the bangs live. So we're just really creating a nice area to work in to create this. So now we'll do this live on camera. So Hannah, let's ask a couple of questions here. Sure. Do you ever sweep the hair all over to one side, like the bangs? Like, do you bring it like way over, or do you let this part kind of like sweep over this way and this part go over that way?
Yeah, I usually do that. I usually use my eyebrows as a guide.
Yeah.
The tip of my eyebrow is where the hair part usually is.
Yep. So basically what we'll do is we'll create this going shorter to longer this way, right? That'll be the one side. Mm-hmm. And then the other side, for the most part, you always sweep it over like that?
Yeah.
All right, so let's comb this all straight down. And her hair naturally wants to split basically right here. It's very obvious. Sometimes with clients, you know, it's a very, very severe parting, which is like, no, it splits. You can't fight it. So I'm gonna pick up right from here, comb this out of the way, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this going shorter to longer. And it's not a whole lot of hair to work with, to be honest with you. So we're gonna comb down. So I'm gonna vision where I want this to start, and I'm gonna cut shorter to longer, right in through this area, leaving this a bit longer so that it sweeps over this way, okay? And to me, it's still a bit long, so I'm gonna continue to work in through here to make sure that it's the length that I'm looking for. And now what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll just cut the ends right in through here so that we have a nice little sweeping fringe right just in this corner right in through here. And then I'm going to go in here and we're going to layer it like that, just to remove a little bit of that weight so it softens it up and it allows it to kind of sweep over a little bit more. All right, so now we're gonna be done with this side. We're gonna move into the other side. And remember, this was completely separated, so it's not connected down through here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut working upwards on an angle. A slight angle going shorter all the way to longer this way. So we're maintaining this nice little sweep. Look at that, it's very, very sharp, nice little angle, but the thing is it's not over here because I don't like to have it just one clump of hair that's a sweeping bang. So I like to go one step further where I'll take this corner and I'll actually cut the corner, because what's gonna happen is the hair will become so heavy that it's actually not gonna sweep over, believe it or not. So when you get rid of this corner, it allows it to kind of sweep over much easier. I think it's a big misconception that people think like the more you have it going longer in through here, what that does is it actually prevents it from flowing over. So I like to kind of just get rid of this corner just a little bit coming upwards this way. So now we're going to layer this a little bit right in through here. So comb the hair straight up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this top layer, which is right over this section right in through here. And then let's take this whole thing, and we're kind of over directing over this way, combing it straight up. There's that weight we need to remove. I'm not cutting the length, I'm just cutting on top. And what that's doing is it's allowing it just to have a gorgeous flowing shape like this, which will give you much more movement. Now it has a much nicer flow going across this way. So now let's just do this in through here, make sure this is all balanced and even over here. And I also like to just take this whole section right in through here like this, and I like to always comb it straight up just to check any sort of balance, because what this does is it actually softens up on this side, and then we have this beautiful, now look how much volume she has, even in this little fringe area right through here. She's got gorgeous volume, a beautiful flow to it. Look at that, not just one heavy clump of. So now what I want to do is I want to blow dry the hair, and then we are going to see the finished results. So let's start with the finish, and then we'll do the breakdown. All right, I'm going to start with using support cream as the first product, and then I'm going to mix a little bit of my new product, Sleek, which is a very lightweight smoothing serum. I'm going to apply that to her hair, and then we'll blow dry it, and we'll see how it looks. So support cream is designed to give the hair a little bit of hold, and it's going to support the style. That's why it's called support cream. So it's going to support the style, give it a little bit of hold and texture, which is going to be great for your hair. Then I'll take 1 pump of Sleek, work it through, and the great thing about Sleek is that compared to most smoothing serums, this is very, very lightweight. It's not heavy at all. It smells incredible, has a lot of benefits to it, only a handful of ingredients, and it's really, really amazing. So now we're going to blow dry it. All right, guys, so now it is time for the money shot. And I did use the Dyson Airwrap to blow dry her hair, which literally took me minutes to blow dry her hair. I used up a couple different attachments. So bring your hair forward this way, right there. And here we go. Look at that, huh? Look at that shape. Is that gorgeous or what? Look at all this volume, and look at how this beautiful kind of sweeping fringe comes in now. We created a totally different type of shape for this, and she has so much movement and so much volume in through here. It's incredible. So now what we've done is we've created a lot of texture throughout the ends here, but it's a lot more of a solid type texture instead of having it so wispy and thin from using the thinning shears. So we have a lot of movement in through here, a lot of gorgeous layers, as you can see, and just by me lifting this up, look at all that volume she has. So we've kind of recreated the shape a little bit without any sort of thinning, without any sort of texturizing that's gonna reshape or damage the hair at all. So I think mission accomplished here. Let's just take the cape off and we'll see the final look. Gorgeous, right?
Yes.
And it's amazing, we did all this without having it being super short, Very, very sexy, right?
And I now know how my bangs are supposed to look.
Exactly. All right, so let's do the breakdown. She can't stop touching it and looking at herself in the monitor, which is pretty normal. Again, what I want to do is create a nice solid foundation right in through here. So she now has a beautiful layered shape in through here rather than having to have had me go in and just thin out with thinning shears. Now it's actually thinned out properly without changing the integrity of the structure. We created a nice solid foundation, worked in a face frame on both sides and through here. So we do have a nice pretty angle in through here going away from the face. And then we created some internal layering, which is beautiful. The fringe, as you can see, looks absolutely stunning. And then we blow dried it. And here is the finished result. Well, Hannah is a new woman now, right? How do you feel?
I feel great.
You feel great, right? Awesome. And it's amazing. I just want you guys to take note that Asian hair is definitely not easy to get a lot of volume and texture and movement into here because it is naturally so heavy. But look what I've done with the shape. We scrunch it like that, and look at that. It's got all sorts of movement. It's beautiful. It's still long. She still has the length. Even though she didn't need a huge night and day makeover, we just created a whole new, much more fluid shape with what she currently had, or what she had before. So I'm really, really happy with it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and click the bell so you're notified of when my videos go live. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time for more videos with The Salon Guy.